All right, so originally our plan was to do an infuser, to infuse a beer, put hops in here, have a keg of beer, blah blah blah. Yeah, look. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of beer up here. That's what happens. We got a lot of people drinking a lot of beer real quick. So let me talk about infusing. Infusing is basically the company who really started it as a thing in America. Is one of my favorite breweries in America is Dogfish Head. Dogfish Head is based out of Delaware, and if we're lucky enough, if you're lucky enough to find Dogfish Head, if you go on a journey, they pulled out of Tennessee. But if you're lucky to travel somewhere and you see Dogfish Head brews, buy them, get them, store them. They're excellent. It's one of the first beers. They do a lot of beer archaeology, where they go and there's a couple of places that they work with a university professor out of the University of Pennsylvania, Professor Pat. I forgot his last name. And they work with him, and what they do is they find old ancient brewing vessels, and they scrape the residues and do a molecular analysis and be like, oh, this had this, and it was alcoholic and people drink it, blah, blah, blah. Really good stuff. They made some really good beers that way. They've done a lot of things that really have helped the brewing movement and good beer appreciation. And one of the things they did is they came up with a infuser, which they named Randall the Enamel Animal, because I guess they made it out of enamel equipment. But basically, they figured out how to make a filter that they could run fresh beer through and pick up hop flavor out of. And it's spread, I believe that Asheville Brewing Company, if anybody here is from Asheville, I believe they do that every other Tuesday or something at their main location, which is yeah, you're from Asheville. Yeah, they do it there where they'll run their beer through special ingredients. Well, basically an infuser, this is an infuser made out of a water filter. It was bought off of a homebrew website. Somebody put it together, and all it is a filter. Ideally, if we would have had the keg here and people weren't too drunk to bring us a keg and hops, we would have had this going to a keg, we would have had this full of hops, and we would have had this in your hand drinking. This, you know, just imagine, yeah, well, there's still plenty of beer, so don't worry. Next year, we'll have our stuff together to do it. But just, okay, all right. Use your imagination. This is full of hops, and this is connected to a keg, and this I've already poured into your glass. All right, whatever. Yay for imagination. Oh, so good. All right, so basically, Dogfish Head, they're like, okay, we're gonna take our beer, which is already really good, and we're gonna run through more hops because everybody loves hops. I mean, I love hops. I mean, shoot, you know. So. Yeah, it's so great trying to talk about an infuser with nothing in an infuser or no beer to go with it. It's like talking about pie with no crust or something. I mean, it's like talking about Elvis without Heartbreak Hotel or something. You know, it's like okay, I'll wing it. So basically, a lot of breweries do this now. It started with Dogfish Head. It spread to a couple of places, and I'm just lucky enough, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. The place I drink in Knoxville, if you ever go there, it's called Downtown Grill and Brewery. It's on Gay Street, the main street downtown. It's an English and German style brewery. Traditional English ales and traditional German ales. And if you come through, good food, good people, good beer, come check it out. I just, you know, I'm happy to be friends with them because that's where I drink, and they're like, hey, you're going up there, bring our beer. So we had a Kolsch, which they call Downtown Blonde. And it's a Kolsch ale. And we had this full of strawberries. So we had the Kolsch ale going from the keg through the strawberries and out to the tap. And it added a little something to it. It added a little sweetness, a little fruit flavor to it. And it went over really well. It went over so well that I had to come up here and do a class about it or something. So ideally, like I said, what you really want to do with infusers, Dogfish Head started it, and what they would do is they had this big Randall the Enamel Animal, humongous thing full of hops. and they would take their 60-minute IPA and they run it through it. So by the time you got it, you're just like, you know, after you drink your beer, you're like, I gotta go to the bathroom to scrape the hop oils off my teeth enamel, you know. But it's really good. It really helps a lot. You can put pretty much anything to it. We had this big ideology of like, oh, we're gonna run such and such a beer through chocolate, and then we're gonna run such and such through hops. We're gonna run. The only thing that I've seen infused with this today was a Kolsch through strawberries, and I thought it went really well. But ideally, it's a water filter. It's got like a little thing on it. It's got the connections for the kegs. You can put anything in it. I mean, anything that you think is gonna add flavor to your beer. And everybody's like, yeah, hops, obviously. But like, think about it, like chocolate, watermelon. Oh yeah, Asheville Brewing Company did something with one of their pale ales with their Houdini or Escape Artist Pale Ale through watermelon. Escape Artist. It used to be called Houdini until they took away the rights. Like Houdini family is like, what? Yeah, you can call it that. It's $200 million or whatever it was, you know. So basically, yeah, jalapenos. Yeah, if you like a hot, peppery beer, which that just means you're crazy or whatever. But you can fill this up full of jalapenos and run a beer through it and like, yeah, and the next day you're like, oh. So yeah, like somebody wanted to run peppers through some kind of beer and I'm like, yeah, have fun with that. We did strawberries, it worked out pretty well. But basically that's it. There's not much of that you could... It depends on what you're infusing. If you're infusing fruit, you're looking at about half an hour. If you anything that's about half an hour, honestly. You want beer to fill into it to get the flavor off of whatever you're infusing. If you got cocoa nibs, which is raw chocolate, give it half an hour for the beer, the alcohol to strip out the chocolate off the flavor. If you're infusing fruit, like we infused the fruit, we just filled it up and we just waited. We're like, everybody come up, can I have that? No, it's not ready. Sorry. We just waited, and it started. After half an hour, it started pulling the strawberry flavor off the strawberries we had in it. Hops you can do right away. 5 minutes, the alcohol is lifting the hop oils off the hops, and you're able to taste that. But other than that, I forgot where he got this, what website, but basically I'm a home brewer. And I'm going to borrow this because I don't see the organizers using this afterwards. So I'm like, yeah, let me experiment with it, right? So I'm going to run some things through it to see what works and what doesn't. Because, I mean, there's things that, like, if you want to run a certain type of beer through it and you're like, oh, I wonder if this works, and you taste it, you're like, no. You know, you'll know better. It's an experimental thing. That's the way we did it at Woodruff. We looked at it as an experiment. We want to run strawberries through our Kolsch, which is a German style light ale, and it worked. It picked up the fruitiness. It was really good. Brewer thirst question, and everybody liked it. But if I imagine at the same time, if I put marshmallow peeps in it, it's not going to pull up marshmallow peeps flavor off it. If I put like chocolate bars to it, oh yeah, it's pouring great. Oh no, now it's gummed up because the chocolate bars melted into it. So you got to be careful what you're doing with the infuser. And basically that's it. At this point, we're just waiting for people to come up that we need to announce whoever won the homebrew contest. Somehow, like, my drunken ass got talked into coming in and talking about infusers. So I'm having a great time at Oktoberfest here. This is a great event. I'm looking forward to it next year. I hope you all are too. Has anybody got any questions about homebrewing, infusing, beer in general?
How much beer can you run through it without, before you have to refresh the stuff that you're infusing?
It depends on what you're infusing. And it depends on the style of the beer too. And it depends on alcohol levels. I tell you the truth, we infused the Woodruff Kolsch with this for about 2 hours. At about an hour and a half, I was like, I'm not tasting any strawberries anymore. So after a while, it's starting to strip out all the properties that you're looking for in the first place, so you want to refresh. We did it for half an hour, and I didn't have enough strawberry flavor out of it. So I got one of the volunteers like, more strawberries. And so they came in, we packed it full, and we're like trying to jam it down, like, it won't close. But after that, for like the next hour and a half, we were getting a great strawberry flavor off of it. So it depends on the style of beer, and it depends on what you're infusing it with. Now, raw chocolate, which is cocoa nibs, if you're, you don't want to do that with a pale ale. I mean, you want to do it with a darker beer like a stout or a porter. If you're dealing with coconut nibs, I imagine you got about an hour to infuse before the coconuts are dead, and all you're not getting chocolate flavor anymore. You're just getting bitterness. So and hops as well. For the first hour and a half, I imagine you're getting a good hop flavor, and then after about 2 hours, you're not getting anything but the bitterness. So, you know, it really depends. And like I said, this looks to me like it was made out of like something you can go get at Wally World. You know, Walmart's like, oh, home filter. I'll put some beer stuff on it, and it works out. So, anybody else got any other questions or comments, or want to come up here and talk about whatever? Where's the closest you can get a homebrewing kit? I'm from Knoxville. I don't honestly know. In Knoxville, honestly, there's a guy down the street from me that I can get an extract kit from anytime I want. I'm an all-grain brewer. I've graduated. Online, you can get anything online. We live in the future. Yeah.
Near Bailey's, you can get homebrew kits. There's a tobacco store that has great kits, nice assortment. Countryside Vineyards out here in Kingsport, all local. Support your local people. It's a great place. They'll tell you what you need to know if you have a question in your stuff. So we have a lot of local support. There's another place in Gray as well, right across from the, I believe it's the Exxon station, right off the interstate. So I mean, if you're close and need a little spot, they can hook you up. So Simply Delicious has a really decent display of what they have available in basic kits. Oh yeah, and as well, I agree, the internet can get you anything, but if you don't know what you're looking for,
support your local.
Yeah, support your local. Support your local. I'm all about it. These people will work with you. They'll answer your questions, and keep brewing.
Hey, what's your name? What's your name?
Jay Davis.
Jay Davis has got a point. Support your local stores. Home brewing and beer in general is a locally based. If you can get local hops, if you can get local malt, support your local economy. I mean, I just suggest the internet just for the fact that I don't know this area, and thankfully Jay knows. You can get stuff locally. So yes, Google it, because you can look up anything on Google. Find what's local. You know, and honestly, by the time you buy something locally for ingredients and equipment, as opposed to buying on the internet, you're paying the same in shipping, or you're paying more in shipping by the time you get it off the internet. And you gotta wait. Go somewhere locally. If they don't have it, they'll order it for you. So, any other questions or comments? What? Drink more beer? Drink my beer. Okay, I'm gonna put the microphone down. I'm just kind of winging it because I was pouring beer and someone says, come talk about Infusions. I was like, give me a keg and something infused. And they're like, okay. And then they're like half an hour later, like, no, we don't got anything. I'm like, thanks for putting me on the spot. I'm gonna drink beer. Hey, I'm glad you're all having a good time at Oktoberfest. It's a great event. And I guess next we're gonna announce who won the homebrew contest. So thanks for hanging out, and drink more beer.